it's me again. Today's date is June 21st, 2023. It's a Wednesday. And today might be the solstice, but yesterday might have been the solstice. I'm not sure what day the solstice honestly is. I thought it was the 21st. But we're at the longest amount of daylight for the year, and it's 8:16 for me. And Next Bridge just came out with a PR stating that Greg McCabe is now chairman of the board for Next Bridge, and Clifton DeBose is taking his leave. Of course, the letter then goes on to state all the aliquots that Greg McCabe has acquired in his career, and that he will continue to work with Rich Masterson, the geologist, one of the geologists on the Oro Grande. As mentioned in the past, Rich Masterson is the person who discovered the Wolfbone play in the Permian Basin. That is a shale play, and Wolfbone seems like an interesting name, but the geology has interesting names. You have Sperry, Bone Spring, you have Wolf Camp, then you have Wolfbone. So he discovered the Wolfbone play. This is also evident in the Greg McCabe produced movie The Iron Orchard, where back of the day they mentioned to the protagonist of the film, check out the Wolfbone play, there's lots of oil there. That was a little Easter egg. As I've talked about with CEI, when James Doris changed the accounting team, because the current accounting team back in 2021 was not fast enough for CEI, he brought in Vikings accounting team. I said management can make or break a company. Lots of companies could do well, but the management might not be up for the job. In this case, I think Clifton DeBose probably was able to do the job, but did he want to sign up for the amount of hurdles that NextBridge has faced with the SEC filing? He might have signed up to be a CEO of an oil company, a private oil company, but maybe not a company who is trying to get some equitable relief. As of course we know, during the FINRA FAQ, FINRA said, yes, there's short positions, and they carried on in a Next Bridge. So that's today's update, that Greg McCabe is back as the chairman. It will be interesting to see if any additional PRs come out in the near future regarding Next Bridge. My own update, my FOIA request is still out there in process. It's still out there and in process. People might say, Bird Lady, you're not going to get it. I say to that, there is still a small chance. It's a small chance, but right now it's bypassed everybody else's chance, and it's still hanging out there. And if something comes of it, I'll be very, very excited, and I will share with all of you once I get that information. As you can see, it's been very hot in Texas. We've had a bit of a heat wave this past week. It's been over 100 every day with the heat index of 125. It's been so hot that if I go into a metal shed to get out animal feed, it feels the same temperature on the outside as it does the inside of the building. It's a bit ridiculous. And thus, it being so hot, you must dress accordingly. Counting on some storms for later today. But that's the news. There was a PR. There's been a change in management for Next Bridge Hydrocarbons. Greg McCabe is back at it, making sure to include Rich Masterson in this. One of the critiques I have about the media articles that have come out lately, such as Forbes, Wall Street Journal, other assorted articles which cite one particular individual as being the definitive guide for the Oro Grande oil and gas amounts, is that they never cite any geologists, let alone one of the few geologists who worked on this. Nobody ever cited the geologists. I find that rather interesting. I hope we hear more from the geologists in the future. And like many people, I'm hoping that Next Bridge is resolved sometime in the near future in regards to the amount of short positions in a private company, which FINRA says, well, the brokers have protocol to deal with these positions in the private company. And the brokers say, well, we're waiting for FINRA to tell us what to do with this private company. And it seems like we are at a immovable standstill and we need a nudge in the right direction. We need a nudge to get us going. Let's take a second now and talk about potential FUD you might see. At this point, more or less, I'm ignoring just about all the FUD out there because it does not really affect the price of Next Bridge Hydrocarbons, as Next Bridge Hydrocarbons is private and not trading. The FUD out there might say, see, Clifton DeBose doesn't want to run a corrupt company, and look, Greg McCabe's back at it. Or Clifton DeBose ran away. There's going to be FUD and naysayers. At this point, I'm not sure why there's FUD and naysayers, as they really can't monetize off of this other than clicks to their article. That's the only way that they're going to get any sort of compensation for doing all of this, unless there's clicks to their articles. But just keep that in mind, that there will be a lot of negativity that will come from this management change. And who knows what they'll say. They'll say whatever they can to elicit a negative response from you. That's their goal, is to get you into this mindset that it's just despair. There's no way out of it. McCabe's taking over at this point. See, there was no oil and gas. Clifton DeBose left. Clifton DeBose isn't a geologist. He was a lawyer. Rich Masterson's the geologist. He's back on board. Hooray! What does that tell you? When I see it as more of a positive, management can really make a company do well or not so well, given our particular instance where we have a lot of oil and gas. Rich Masterson is back on this. Why would Masterson put his name to something like this if there's no oil and gas? He has a credible history, and nobody argues with this credible history. Nobody, at least, has, on my end, argued with me about his history. Why would he put his name on something that didn't have the oil and gas that he claims it to have? That's one of the biggest arguments. And if somebody does try to elicit a negative emotion from you, just remember, you are not obligated to respond to them. They are not entitled to your response. And they're not getting paid for it. Maybe they're some sort of emotional vampire. I don't really know. Like, is that a thing still? Emotional vampires? It's 2023. There could very well be emotional vampires. Okay, guys, that's it for today, or at least right now. There might be more updates later. We will see as the day goes on. I will see you soon. Goodbye.